Hello and welcome back. So this is the Vexor, the Gallente Tier 5 standard cruiser, and what makes this ship unique compared to the other Tier 5 cruisers is that this ship is doing its primary DPS with drones, and especially medium drones. Now of course you can use the small drones, but medium drones will have the best effect on this ship. Now, aesthetically, this ship is very photogenic, I'll have to admit. I have some very good screenshots and I have some very good wallpapers using this ship, and overall I do like the design of this ship a lot, and it does look very unique using these skins, which I do plan on getting. Now, onto the ship stats, or should I say the traits. Now, this ship does not have any roll bonus, which is normal for the other tier 5 cruisers, but this ship does offer some very good skill per level bonuses. Now, this ship does have bonuses on drone range, on drone health, and of course on the drone DPS, which means that if you are looking for a drone boat, then this is most likely the ship that you're going to go for. Now, this ship does have 5 slots for the drones, which you'll see later on, and I currently use Vespas. Now of course I do plan on getting other medium drones, but they are very expensive currently, since drones are indeed very powerful. Now this ship offers 5 drone slots, 2 high slots, 2 medium slots and 4 low slots, and of course 2 rigs for each weapon and the engineering section. Of course the resistances are going to be the same, and of course the ship is actually very maneuverable and it is very agile, which I do like about this ship a lot. Now, in the fitting, I currently have around 219 DPS, which is okay. Most of my DPS is coming from my drones. Now, for the main weapons, I do use the medium rifle railgun, and I don't quite use them much in combat because the ship does have a very good drone range, and I mostly do use drones as the primary source of DPS. But if you want to use the primary weapons on this ship, you can. But I do like to orbit at around 40-45 kilometers, and I like to use just drones with this ship. And I currently use Mark 5 Vespas on this ship. And of course, I do plan on getting the other drones, but they are quite expensive actually. And for some reason, I don't know why drones are that expensive, but they are, and I am also saving up ISK for the other drones. Now, of course, in the medium slots I do have 2 Webifers, and in the low slots I do have a Afterburner. Now I do have a Mark 5 drone damage amplifier, which will increase the drone damage and is a very interesting module. And I have a Imperial Navy omnidirectional tracking link to give those various buffs to the drones. And I have 2 of these. I initially wanted to get 2 damage amplifiers, but I decided to try out this fit first, and afterwards I will also try with the dual drone damage amplifiers, because I think the ship will do a lot more damage if I use those amplifiers, and my damage with those amplifiers will also increase. And I think with dual amplifiers I can get around 350 or 400 drone DPS only. Now, in combat, like I said, I like to orbit at around these rats at around 40 to 45 kilometers, and that is kind of my optimal range, and it is kind of the range that I am already used to with other ships. Now, at close range, you can use the drones with the main weapons, but like I said, I like to orbit at a long distance, and I like to use drones only with this ship, since after all the primary weapon on this ship aren't the high slot weapons, it's the drones, so you should use the drones as much as you can. Now, you can, however, like I said before, use the ship in close range combat, but you want to change the low slot lineup a little bit. And this ship is, of course, a Gallente ship, which means that this ship does have decent armor resistance, and that this ship does have a lot of armor, which means that this ship is excellent at armor tanking. Now, of course, you can try, and you can, of course, do to make this ship a shield tank, but it is a Gallente ship, and they usually have very good armors, and For close range, I will try out a armor fit, which I think will be interesting. I already have all the modules that I need for a armor tank, so I just have to try them out to see how it will work. I will start with the long range drone DPS, and so far I do like how the drones perform. If you remember, in the first beta test, drones were very powerful, and drones were the highest damage dealing weapon in the first beta test back in January, which made drone ships very popular back then. Now in the last beta, the tables changed a little bit, and the drone ships and overall drone DPS was nerfed a lot, which made drones a little bit useless in the last beta. And since the last beta, the drones did get a 20% buff, which is nice, and it made drones a little bit more balanced. And now drones are, at the moment as it stands, my second or third favorite weapon system in the game. Now it is no secret that the missiles are currently dominating the game, and that missiles currently are the top one picked weapon by most of the players, and that is something that I use missiles, of course, but I do want to change a little bit, and I'll be flying drone ships a little bit, and afterwards I'll probably jump on railguns, and afterwards I will be jumping on lasers as well. So you can expect me flying all the different navy ships. You can expect me to be flying all of the ships that you can find in the game, and I'm very curious to actually test most of them out. And I am also looking forward to see which ship will suit my gameplay the best. Now, of course, I do respect and I do like all of the ships in the game, since each ship currently in the game has their own purpose, and that's why I like to fly all of the ships, to test out all of the waters to see how each of these ones will perform. Now, as for missions, I was doing the advanced missions, and of course, some of the advanced missions did take some time because the drones do kind of lack DPS here. Now, I still am, of course, increasing my drone skills. Most of my skills are level 4, and that level 4 skill is preventing me from using the 5th drone that I have in this ship. And of course, I am in the process of changing that. And once I have level 5, and I'll be able to control the 5th drone then, and then it will be very interesting to see how this ship will perform. But generally all of my other skills are maxed out, and they are already very decent. So in the other perspective, this ship will, in my case, perform very well. Now, compared to the missiles, the drones currently have a better range than my Caracal Navy. So you can use a long-range drone-fitted ship for the storyline missions and for the other difficult rare missions. And of course, for the expert missions, I think drones will be mostly used, because you can sit at around 80 to 100 kilometers with, for example, the Vexor Navy, and you can release your drones while maintaining the 80 to 90 kilometer range and just wait the drones to do the job at destroying the enemy ships. And the Vexor Navy is one of the other ships that I'm also looking forward to, since that ship is indeed very powerful and I do like it. And of course, if I like it, I'll get it. That's how it goes in this game. And besides that, I still feel that missiles are superior to drones, because missiles cannot miss the target, and missiles always do a constant amount of damage, but they have short range, and in the long range combat I think drones are going to be way more superior and of course way more effective than missiles. But of course you have ships like the Caracal Navy, which is also currently dominating the game. Almost a big portion, a vast majority of players are currently flying Caracals and are currently using missile ships, which is no surprise, since they are currently indeed very efficient and very effective at everything in the game. But I do also like my drones, and I do fly these drone boats, since they are indeed very fun to they're fun to fly, and they also get the job done very efficiently. and if you ask me, they get the job done safer than the missile ships. Now, of course, the missile ships, you can make them to have a very long range, but something about the drones is just fun. And besides that, with drones you also have to be careful to not lose them, because the rats, I think they can target drones. I am not quite sure, I'll have to test that out, but with drones, with these drone boats, you have to be careful at not losing your drones, since, for example, each of my Vespas here is bought at around 6 million ISK. So if I were to lose one of these drones, that's like losing a ship, and I don't feel like losing drones. So I have to be careful around what I'm doing with my drones. And I'm not quite sure if the elite ships can target them. I think the vast majority of ships currently in the game do target only the player ship. They do leave drones alone. But in the future, you might expect the rats to target your drones as well. So be careful if you use very expensive drones. And I can't wait to get sentries in the game, or if they already are sentries in the game, I'll actually have to check that out. But I will also be looking forward to try sentries, since they can be very interesting to play, and they are also very powerful if they retain the same mechanic as they retained from EVE Online. It will be very interesting. Now, for a PvP perspective, drones in the first beta were very strong, and ships like the Worm and ships like the Gila were also widely used in the first beta because they were using drones and they had very powerful bonuses on drones, especially the Worm. The Worm was a ship that was capable at dealing 3.6 thousand DPS with ease in the first beta, and the average Worm in the first beta did have around 1.5 thousand DPS, and that is a lot, and thankfully that got tweaked and the ships are now more balanced. The Gila was also a very powerful drone ship, and I think I am going to get one very soon, since it uses missiles combined with drones, which is a perfect combination. And that ship did catch my attention a while ago as well, and I will be working my way to get one of these. And those ships are going to be expensive, but they are going to be very powerful, and they are going to help me a lot in the game. And of course, it will be interesting to see what can I do with these ships. Now, so far, I didn't encounter any problems using the Vexor here. The ship is doing a very good job at taking out these rats, and the drones are also doing a very good job. Now, one thing that I will have to do is I'll have to get level 5 skills for the drones. That's a must if I want to use the 5th drone, and besides that, I will need a lot of ISK as well, which means that I'll be doing a lot of these missions, and of course I'll be doing a lot of the storyline missions. And I will be also upgrading my current ships. Now, for the rigs, I almost forgot. For the rigs, I do have rigs that increase drone range, since my idea for the ship was to have a very long range, since I do need the long range in this ship, since I do want to try the ship out in the storyline missions, since I do have range, and I think I also will have the DPS. So I think it will be fun to try the ship out in those missions, especially since I want to compare it with the missile ships to see which one will be more efficient and effective at clearing these missions. Now, I don't know when the developers will introduce ammunition in the game, but ammunition, I think, is already confirmed by the developers, and I really hope that the ammunition will change the balance a little bit, since I don't like that everyone is using missiles only, because I honestly, fighting missile ships can be very tricky, if I were to be honest. especially if they have very high rate of fire. And most of the players currently are flying missile ships, so if they change that, if they change the balance with the ammunition, then it will be interesting, because then besides missiles you are going to have people flying all of the ships, and they will be using all of the weapon platforms in the game. They are using most of the weapon platforms in the game at the moment, but missiles are at the moment dominating, and it can get kind of weird seeing 100 or 200 Caracal navies flying around a gate. That was, and especially if they're red. If they are red, then yikes. Then if you don't have a clocking device, then it might be a difficult situation. Speaking of clocking devices, I don't know if I don't know when I'll get a bomber. To be more precise, I don't know when I'll get a bomber, since bombers are excellent at shooting the larger targets in the game. And since at the moment there aren't that many larger ships available in the game, and they do use torpedoes, which are good at shooting down cruisers, battle cruisers. And since they are fragile, I won't be that much effective in combat solo, because that ship is, after all, bombers are made to be used in a fleet of bombers, since they are fragile and they can get shot down very easily. So I don't know when I will get a bomber. Of course, I will get a bomber eventually. I have to. So it will be interesting to see how those ships will perform in the live version of the game. And of course, let's take out the. I think this is the last rat that's left here in the field. The drones are doing a very good job, I have to say. It is pleasant to use the drones, since I don't have to risk my ship up close. Now, on the range, I still need to get better range, because some of the storyline missions do have ships that have very, very long range. And of course, I can change that if I fit the ship to be tanky, which I will do. And actually, when I think about it, I will do a lot of different fittings, and I'll be testing out different fittings for the ship, since I do see very, very big potential in the ship at being a very affordable ship to clear storyline missions with, compared, for example, with the Caracal Navy, or compared to the Vexor Navy, which are 4 to 5 times more expensive than the ship. And if you can get one of these for, let's say, 15 million ISK, and if you're able to clear storyline missions with this ship very efficiently, then you don't have to spend 65 or 70 million ISK for the Caracal Navy, Omen Navy, or for the Vexor Navy, which are very good ships. But if you don't want to spend a lot of ISK, then the Vexor will do the job just fine. Of course, there are going to be some drawbacks. For example, less modules and overall less DPS, and of course, less skill per level bonuses. But of course, the ship will be a lot cheaper, and in the end, it will still get the job done very efficiently, which is what matters the most in the end. Well, one more mission. Now, I have to admit, recently I did have a lot of weird glitches in the game. Sometimes the weapons don't fire, sometimes the ship gets stuck in the sun, sometimes the ship warps inside of the sun, which is very weird and creepy at the same time. I don't like to warp in at huge objects, since that just, I don't know, I get scared for some reason. I guess I have to blame VR for that. Since I don't know, let's not talk about that at the moment. Okay, let's see, that will be the first target. It is that destroyer, which will be the first target. And now, I have to say, I did spend a little bit more time with this ship in these missions, because the drones are doing less DPS than, for example, my Caracal Navy or my Stabber, which I guess it's okay, since the drones are Mark 5, and and I'm not using the fifth drone. If I used the fifth drone, I think things would be a lot more different. And of course, if I were using my primary weapons, then things would be also different. But since I do want to experiment first using drones only, I will fly the ship this way for the first video, and afterwards I will jump and change my fittings for a more tanky Vexor, and then I will engage all of these ships up close, and I'll be using my primary weapons. Now in PvP, you should be using all of your weapons, since every tiny bit of DPS is going to help. And of course, anyway, since in PvP you are going to have to be close to the enemy ship, and in that case you might want to use the primary weapons anyway, since extra DPS will help a lot, especially in PvP. Well, overall, I have to say I'm satisfied with the drones, and if you got tired of missiles or if you got tired of caracals, then I think the Vexor is a very nice ship to change in, and of course it is very fun to fly, since the drones do require you to be a little bit more careful with the drones, because you don't want to lose expensive drones. And I think the faction drones at the moment are over 13 million a piece, which is, if you ask me, a little bit too much, but the drones are a very powerful tool, very powerful weapon, and their price is kind of justified. And I will also work on getting better drones as well. Besides getting better rapid missile launchers and other ships, I'll be trying to get other drones, since I do want to make this ship as effective as possible. And I have to say, in my case, it is a pleasant change from a Caracal to a Vexor, since this ship does have its own unique gameplay, which I do like a lot, and it kind of makes me nostalgic. And it kind of makes me nostalgic, and it kind of reminds me a lot more on EVE Online. Well, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed. It was a pleasure to record this, and it was a pleasure to fly the Vexor. And well, when I return next time, I'll be trying out this ship with a little bit more different build. With that being said, stay safe, take care, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.